there anybody? No.
Nobody on Zoom.
Nobody on Zoom yet. Welcome to the Wareham Affordable Trust meeting of Tuesday, August 13th. We're in room 27 of Town Hall, and the meeting is being broadcast by Zoom and WCTV, and it's being recorded. I'll open by calling the meeting to order. Roll call attendance to my left. Sandy
Slavin.
Jim?
Jim Manise.
And Chair Carl Schultz is here. Member Judith Whiteside noticed that she will be absent today. She may attend later, but so she has an excused absence. First item of business is to review the minutes for the July 9th, 2024 meeting, which Jim sent out. Comments, discussion?
No, I have reviewed the minutes and find them to be complete and accurate, and make a motion to approve the minutes of July 9th.
And I'll second, and then we'll take a roll call. Jim?
Jim Manise, yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yea. The minutes for July 9th are approved 3-0-0. Moving on to open items and continuing business. At our first meeting of the new fiscal year, the last meeting, we reorganized the trust and we elected roles. I was elected chair. Mr. Manise was elected secretary. I would like to review that and possibly reconsider. I would like to step down as chair in favor of Mr. Manise, and then I can, I'll be willing to do the clerk duties, but that requires a vote of the trust. And a motion and a second.
Well-
Discussion, so discussion.
Yeah.
Jim, are you all right with that
I'm
change?
I'm okay with it, but why don't we wait until Mrs. Whiteside can be here, trustee Whiteside, for discussion, if it's okay with you too? Do you have a problem with that? If so, I'll just, I would
No, no.
accept, you know, because she kind of broached the subject.
Okay, I'm willing to wait.
So I make a motion, we table the reorganization until later.
Or carry it forward to the next meeting. If
Well,
she doesn't make
We'll
it.
table it
Table,
to
just
the end
table.
of the meeting, and if she's not here, we will carry it to the next meeting. But
Okay, all right,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Do we need do you need to have a
how
second
formally
on
do you
that?
wanna make this?
To
We-
tabling it, I
I'm
don't
with
think, I don't think. we
Okay, I'm
need to.
good.
Well, we do in conservation.
Oh, you want a motion? Okay.
No.
I'll second it then.
Okay, my motion to table, Jim seconded, all in favor?
Jim, aye,
Jim Manise, aye.
Uh-huh, yeah.
and the chair votes aye. Motion to table.
You snuck in, Steve, I didn't even see you there. I said,
Morning.
Morning.
You were jotting items down, I saw you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, trust business. Again, we have an ongoing issue with 2010 Town Meeting Article 44 regarding the $60,000 from the CPC. Sandy, I believe, met with the CPC and discussed that, if you'd like to.
We discussed it.
So you'd like to report on that?
It was recorded, I gave you the link to that meeting so you could hear what was being said in the CPC meeting. And I believe, based on what I heard and their recommendation, is that we ask that funds be returned to CPC because of that statement that was never, and to authorize the town to enter into agreement with said trust that never happened. And it's questioned as to whether or not this is still a valid article since that agreement was never implemented. Based on that, CBC recommended that this be returned and you apply for another grant and another town meeting cycle.
Discussion?
Was there a vote of the CPC on that?
No, but recommendation,
Okay,
because
so no vote.
No vote because,
it-
no,
Just in quickly is, are there time limits to, under which you need to utilize the funds?
there is no formal timeline.
And is there any,
CPC has never implemented a timeline for completion of a project.
and is there any timeline for implementing the agreement? I mean,
No,
Is there any, my question sort of is, why can't we just enter the agreement now?
You can.
it would have to come from CPC. Or the town, whoever the town is. The town was nebulous.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think the agreement, see, the town meeting voted to provide the funds to be utilized by the Affordable Housing Trust for whatever reasons we're allowed to, either under our the
Charter.
general laws, our charter and the general laws, and/or under the CPA Act,
It
which
had to-
actually broadens it.
It had to be under the CPA
Which-
guidelines.
which
The-
broadens
That was controlling the funds. Authorized, allowed under CPA rules. Yeah.
So if we submit, sorry, Carl, if we submit a request to you, the CPC, then you review it, and on behalf of the town, as the funds are under your jurisdiction, either approve or deny it as being a legitimate request.
And enter into the agreement. That's another question. Enter into the agreement now that we're going to use the money.
And then move it forward for however purposes you need to, whether it be through administration and for signing of agreements and contracts and/or in addition to, I guess, the town accountant / treasurer, because the treasurer, collector is the actual designated overseer of the funds, of our funds, but not your funds.
You mean my being
CPC.
CPA funds?
Yeah.
Now,
Don't say, I think your gets confused.
Yeah. So that's all I needed to say on this, thank you.
So your feel is that we still have time to enter into this agreement?
Yeah, we had
And
never,
CPC seems to think we never entered the agreement, therefore,
we never entered the agreement because we never, I'm
Yeah.
thinking through that, we never requested the funds
Funds,
to
yeah.
use. Now is the time to enter the agreement, is a way to think about it.
We'll forward a request to you, to the CPC for funding, and it's in your hands, and if you choose to approve it, great. If you do not, you make the decision, then we live with it that way.
well,
I watched the,
okay. So you heard the discussions that went back and forth.
Yes.
yeah, I did.
This is another way to think about it. That
Not the
Jim's
easiest
proposed,
one.
I don't know. So the request would go, under this authorization, Wareham Affordable Housing Trust would now like to draw on that and enter into an agreement, and use those words, and enter into an agreement to use those funds, or some language like that. If there's no time constraint.
Okay, so that if we come up with that today, we formalize it and send it to CPC. We have a meeting Wednesday night. It is not on our agenda. We would
Next.
use it under 48.
Hours.
Oh, tomorrow night?
Yeah,
Okay.
we would use it under 48 because that request would be coming to us
Late. Well,
within 48 hours of
Right.
our meeting, since the agenda's already been posted. And if CPC considers it, we can vote on it and ratify it at our next meeting.
or deny it and.
Or
then-
deny it and whatever, but it would have to come from us today.
Okay.
Sorry, come from Affordable Housing Trust today. I'm sorry, two different hats and it's
I'm
getting
with
get confusing. Okay, so,
So,
I would like a motion to send a letter of request to the CPC today requesting release of funds under 2010 Town Meeting Article 44 for $60,000 to the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust and to enter into an
Agreement.
agreement.
That the funds would be used based on whatever the law is for CPA, affordable housing bylaws or rules or whatever that
Right.
is. Yeah, so,
Do you want me to
CPA.
refer to?
Uses for
yeah, you have to.
affordable housing.
I
Okay,
understand.
continue, try that, start it from the beginning.
I will,
No,
but do you want me to refer to the vote that the trust took back in 2010 about what we were gonna use the funds for? Because we voted in 2010 on how we were gonna use the
In
funds.
2010?
I think so, yeah. We had I have the date. It was February, the trust took a vote to use it to fund rental assistance for Woodland Cove.
That wasn't in 2010.
I have
That
the
was
date.
2023.
I think so.
You keep saying 2010.
No,
He's going back and
Okay,
forth.
there is a date, we voted to use the 2010 funds.
right. I thought that, I have it in my notes.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
The request should be that we would want acceptance or approval, or whatever it is, agreement with CPC that the funds be used by Affordable Housing Trust for a rental assistance project, or something like that. And that has to use the word agreement in there someplace.
And we have to enter into an agreement.
And with your approval, this enters into an agreement that these funds are available for use for rental assistance. And I think that covers it. A town to enter an agreement and said trust should include limiting the purposes of the funds that may be spent consistent with the Community Preservation Act. Consistent with the Community Preservation Act. Here, you want this?
I've got
Yeah.
it,
Beautiful.
Hang
I
on.
mean, we need to make sure our wording is
Has to
consistent,
say agreement, has to refer to the article that approved it.
and the Community Preservation Act,
Right.
yes.
Okay, so we have a motion to write
I'll
said
second
letter. Second. Okay, we'll just take a vote on the motion.
Yes.
Yes? Jim?
Jim Manish, yes.
And the chair votes yes. Who's in the best position to write that
You.
letter?
I'm too close. I have a conflict.
Okay.
You
I'm just-
can't.
All right.
Yeah, so why don't you pen something? Can you do that, Carl?
I will do that when I go home.
And then, just forward it, and I'll do a turnaround by noon time, or somewhere thereabouts.
And me too, independently back to Carl, no cross,
Right, to him only.
yeah.
And who ultimately does it get sent to?
There is a Community Preservation Act, Wareham, you can send it to Patrick Lester, and you can send it to me.
CPC
See, there is a CPC web
committee,
email,
yeah.
I'm not sure who monitors it. But if you were to send it to Patrick Lester and to me, I would make sure it would get to all committee members.
Do you have Patrick's email address? Or is it on the webpage?
No,
Yeah.
CPC's on the webpage. Give me a second, I just got an
Does that
email
give
from,
oh, go ahead.
I just got an, email from Patrick, so I have his. There it-
Lester Slavin. Boom, boom.
I don't see it there.
Yeah, top
Oh,
of my- got it?
yeah, I have to take my glasses off. PATRICKLESTER 23 at
So this should be to keep the funds in the housing trust side, not going back to CPC and that's another note.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, I will draft something based on,
use the right little words, the
Yes.
key words that are in the article and what,
We'll see if that, and it's important that we do this, but it's not urgent that we resolve it immediately, because we have other funds to
It's a
move forward.
process, and
Is-
we should,
There is some concern because that agreement was never reached, that this article is voided because that agreement was never done. So we're asking for agreement now.
Right, that's what I said, we're now ready to use it, we'd like to enter into the agreement.
Yes.
Okay, good, I'll take care of it. But what I meant, as far as the trust is concerned, are the things we want to move forward on, we have funds that allow us to keep moving forward while this is being worked. That was my,
Yeah,
we'll talk about that under
Well- limited funds.
the limited, well, less than we had, but.
Yeah.
So, let me distribute this. I submitted, I think I printed this. So I updated this based on our
Yep,
discussion.
I saw that, yep.
Well, I have a printed copy if you don't.
what is this?
This is the status of our funding as of the end of last year without having resolved this issue. So right now, based on my understanding, including the $60,000 that we're discussing at the moment,
Yep.
we have $351,813.92 available. I haven't gotten the latest update from Judy Lazan.
This is gonna, yep,
So that was based on the 2023-6/30 ledger history. So that, we don't have an updated
With the interest.
with interest. But so, starting with that much is available. Right now, we have voted on 3 uses as a trust, $50,000 to rental assistance for Woodland Cove Phase 1, $6,000 to finish off Phase 1. We did it in two
Yep.
votes. And then we voted to use $60,000 in a grant for 6 Chapel Lane. When,
60, no, 50.
I'm sorry, I have my glasses, it says $50,000. For a total committed funds of $106,000. Now, I believe that when we took those votes, I have to go back and read the motions and the votes. I don't know that we actually talked about where those funds would come from when we took the votes. And we're gonna talk about that when we come to the grant agreement for 6 Chapel Lane. But I'll go back and update this. If we specifically said where the funds were gonna come from in the vote, I'll note it on here.
yeah, because when we voted on 6 Chapel Lane, we didn't have 150,000. We only had our trust fund.
Right.
130,
Right, but,
140,000.
and all we granted to them was 50,000. So we still have that money in our balance. So if I take the CPC funds out, we have $141,813. That doesn't include anything from CPC. So we can actually
We could.
accomplish
Yep,
everything that we've set out to do.
and I think, I have a comment on Chapel Lane funding.
All right.
We'll talk about it when we get to Chapel Lane.
Okay. Okay. All right, so do we agree that this currently represents?
Yes,
Pretty close.
This is
yeah.
a correct this is sort of what I used when I wrote the
Pretty close.
annual report. Okay, so then moving from that, or based on that,
Did you vote, seeing the word, did you also vote to approve funding for Phase 2 of Woodland Cove?
we did not, they haven't even submitted a request.
Okay.
So, Roberto, I see that Roberto's on from Woodland Cove. Welcome, Roberto.
Want me to let him in?
Yes, please.
Hang on.
Oh. Okay. Welcome, Roberto. Can you hear me? Roberto, can you hear me?
His microphone's off, isn't it?
he's
Yes, I-
muted.
He's muted. All right, we'll keep going until he acknowledges. So, No, Woodland Cove Phase 2 has not submitted a request to us at this point,
Okay, good. Well, not good, but.
which is why I listed it at the bottom, say, things that we've heard about, thinking about, but it's just out there in the ether. Okay, so that moves us to the NOFA, the Notice of Funding Availability for the coming year, which we've agreed that we should publish and post annually. The update that I had made and discussed at the last meeting, I haven't updated it because I knew that there was going to be questions on our funding. But I think all of the wording, and I printed copies of this for everyone. Did I?
Thank you, Tom.
I printed one.
I thought I printed them, but
Just gotta find it.
maybe I didn't. Where am I? If not, I'll pull this out and you can look at it, Jim. I thought I printed one there. That's the agreement for Steve. Okay, so I didn't print it, but Jim, you can look at the words if you want. So I think all of the words except the thing that I circled, Jim, which was the amount,
Right.
are good. So we need to settle on what amount we want to use in our posting. And we don't have to resolve that again today, but I'd like to discuss just the concept, this framework, and then
At the beginning of the year, we had 135,000, that was at the beginning of the year. Fiscal year '24,
well, this, which one are you looking
the
at?
NOFA,
Yeah, no,
fiscal year 2025.
yes, oh, you said 24, that's why I was
That's,
confused.
it says fiscal year '24, the beginning fund was 135,000, which is accurate.
Or we could use this number, which is 245,000, which includes the CPC funds.
Yeah, but at the
No.
beginning of the year,
It should be the beginning of this year.
for fiscal '24, beginning January 24th, 135,000. I'm looking at NOFA.
That's why I said that has to get changed, and I don't
No,
have
because
it.
that was valid at the beginning of the year.
This should be published as of
Oh,
July
Okay, so
1st.
fiscal year 2025, our balance is,
Do we want to use the 245?
no, we used the 351.
Well, it's not that's not available, because some of that's committed. What are you're looking?
Will be made available to fund eligible requests.
Okay, so
And we use the
the total amount?
351 to be available requests at the end, at the
Okay.
beginning of FY '25. So that line right
Which
there.
then would include Woodland Cove and Mr. Boschman's.
Everybody,
Everybody.
150,000 and the, yeah.
Okay, that's why, so,
So that line right there gets changed.
I circled it, that's why
Oh.
I,
Okay,
and it's yellow, it's highlighted. I knew we have
So
to,
you use that 351 because you haven't dispersed the funds?
you got it.
yes, and something could happen, I
Sure,
guess.
yeah, no.
Then everything else stays the same.
Now, my question remains, do we want to move forward with the assumption, or do we want to wait to hear from CPC about those 60,000?
No, this gets published as it is, because at the beginning of the year, we had 351.
Okay, all right.
And then you make an adjustment if they pull back.
So,
They want the 60
Well,
grand back.
no, at the beginning of the year, that's where we stand, 351. So
that's
that,
what we have in our budget, period, total.
yeah,
But after this letter goes through and you guys vote on taking motion on CPC side, if they say, we'll take the funds back and
Well-
not enter an agreement, then you put a minus 60 grand on account XYZ.
but this is at the beginning of '25.
Right. So,
Nothing has happened.
all right.
So if it gets reduced, it still doesn't get
Yeah,
changed.
we're all saying
Yeah,
the same thing.
Yeah, so,
Yep.
Okay, so I will update that and use the 351 for funds available.
So, out of the notice of funds available, are you saying that's available for affordable housing projects?
Yes,
I don't agree with that. I think we should hold back, out of our funds, 142,000 or 144.
No, all those
Whoa,
funds.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh.
For trust business and possible administration and/or hiring. Because we don't wanna say we're gonna spend every penny we have, and, because we might wanna hire someone to do some things for us.
But we haven't agreed on that. So at the beginning of the year, the 350 was available.
Oh,
It's available.
I'm gonna sit back and listen to this. I understand both points.
I don't wanna start, what if we're going to do, I wanna put money aside. Are
Well-
you saying because he used the word affordable units?
because that's just part of, how you set up a budget for an organization, is that you put funds in certain areas. So if you say available for funding for projects, it shouldn't be the entire,
But we haven't voted to set aside any money for
well, we
administrative.
should have a budget.
We don't have one.
Right. And then, after we say we want X amount for administration or to hire consultants, blah, 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 then that leaves X amount of dollars available.
I'm gonna let you guys hash it out. I'm trying to get this resolved, and I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
So I need a motion or
Okay.
a vote.
Available to fund available requests. The requests could very well be administration support. Read that sentence. Will be made available to fund eligible requests.
Or budget items. I could add the
No.
word or budget.
Don't keep going,
I'm
no.
trying to,
Eligible requests. Are we looking at the same document, Jim?
I don't,
I'm looking at something called fiscal year 25 NOFA.
it should be the
notice of
same.
funding availability, NOFA, is that what you have?
Yes,
Fiscal year
What's on the
2025?
bottom right, Sandy? The bottom right, the date.
7/5/24.
Yeah,
So you're both looking at
Okay.
the same document.
Eligible requests, and it could be our request for administration support.
all right,
So you change the date and the dollar amount, and that's all you change in that line.
we have, well, whatever the number is, X amount we have available for funding, X amount we have available to request funding for through CPC, right?
Go back, the only thing I'm working from is that other spreadsheet. And at the top, we have 3 sources of funding:
Right.
cash in our account and 2 grants.
Yes, so we have 351,000 available to use on an eligible request. And it could be administration requests. It's an eligible request.
Yeah, you know what, I'm not gonna argue the point. I just think we should have a budget, and, when we say available for funding, yeah, that's funding, I'm not gonna,
Okay.
I'm not gonna debate it.
So Carl, you got an answer
It's-
for that one?
It's, doesn't matter. It's not that important to me.
Well, it's important as
I
a
know it
concept.
is, but, you know,
But is it important in the context of this document?
well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Sandy has an argument, and I have an argument. Not an argument, but an argument.
Argument
A
in the
point,
sense
a
you're
point.
putting forth a
So,
position.
you know, and to move forward, not to, I don't know if this word be beleaguer the issue. Let's just say we have that much available, and be sure we don't,
All right, so
yeah, I'm good with it.
in your
Okay.
first paragraph on the second line for fiscal year 25 as opposed to 24,
Can I see it back, Jim?
Oh,
so
you
I
can have
make notes on
this
it.
one here? Go ahead. I don't have that, so.
I've sent it out, but I'll send it out
Okay.
again, yeah. Okay, first,
second line for fiscal year 25 as opposed to 24.
right,
Then on page 2, request or received, you've got to update those dates to reflect 25 dates as opposed to 24 dates. application schedule.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to update this page.
And I think that does it for
So it should be
date
June
related.
1, 2024,
yeah.
September 1, 2024, December 1, 2024, and March 1st, 2025.
Yeah, so I think that's the only things I saw in here that was date related, okay?
And now, related to Jim's recommendation, I can update the sources and uses of a fund and add a section. We have committed uses, grant requests, opportunities for future consideration. I could add administrative and support section, say $0 at the moment, if you want to have a place on our,
Right. See, I think the reason I bring it up is you post on the webpage, that's what we have for available funds. So that's what people who may be seeking funding.
but they still have to submit an application and we still have to
can say
vote.
it's not available at this point
Right.
because, all right, I'm good.
But do you want me to add another section?
No, I don't think so.
What do you got? Oh, you had something in the back there?
Yeah, it's just the totals
Oh,
and like change recs.
which paper you got?
Same one you're looking at.
But this one, oh, there it is, on the bottom, upside down, all right, good, so, no, I'm good with everything here. And,
Okay.
we did, I believe we voted for the funds for Woodland Cove Phase One to come out of CPC when we originally voted.
That's what I'm trying to look for, because I think that date was back a long time
So,
ago. Wasn't in 2020.
so then I make a motion that, we state that as a current year, we have a total of what'd you say, 351,813? Or whatever figure you finalize after you talk with,
No, it's gonna be, it's right now 351,
all right.
813,
Okay.
.92, anything
And,
after the 1st of July is an FY.
Available,
Yep, Yep.
available for funding.
right now.
To fund eligible requests, whatever that request is.
Yes, okay?
Could be your request to go to Tahiti.
Yeah,
All right,
I make a motion, we accept the change to the NOFA report, NOFA document.
and then authorize me to edit it and then
Yeah.
distribute it and
Yeah.
post it on the website.
Yes,
All right. I'm looking for a second, Jim.
second,
All in favor?
aye.
Jim?
aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay. All right. Welcome, Roberto.
Good morning.
How are you? Okay. All right, let me get back to the agenda then. So that took care of 4.23. Just a general discussion on planning for the year. Any thoughts on, just open discussion on things we need to do or focus on?
Well, I know Jim was looking for administrative support.
You mean for the year?
For 25,
Item 424 on the agenda, 2025 planning.
Well, yeah, just to put a set aside of, available funds for any and all, administrative consultancy, attorney
administrative
fees.
cost,
Yeah, if you wanna just make it that. And, you know, I would say it should be 15 to 25% of our budget. You know, if we have a tiny budget, then we need to be more. And I was only looking at our budget,
yes.
so that we don't have to, you know, being the Affordable Housing Trust.
Well,
fund.
we cannot use CPC funds for
You
administration.
Cannot.
can, up 5%, up to 5% of the cost of the
Not,
project.
no, not the funds that you got through grant requests.
Okay,
Your grant request says affordable, affordable,
Okay.
affordable
So
units.
let me restate my thing, the grant requests that we currently have. The CPC funds, if we worded the grant request differently, we could then use, but for the two we have today, we
You can
need.
only use it for affordable units.
Correct, correct.
I mean, so you're
Correct.
saying 25%, you're looking almost $37,000 for administrative support in FY '25, if you set aside 25%.
For everything, correct.
Yeah,
We don't know what we need it for. If you wanna have a smaller amount, that's fine with me.
see, I don't know what to give you for an amount, because I don't know what we want to use it for.
And I don't wanna end up with nothing.
Well, if we
So at
have,
the end of the year,
if we have 142,000 available from our funds, we'll see what comes down the pike. What can't be used, what can't be covered under the CPA funding.
Okay. So, do you want to pre-authorize an amount, or do you want?
I would like
wait,
to
wait,
see a
wait,
se-
I didn't finish
Go
my
ahead,
question.
sir.
Or do you wanna wait till we've identified a specific need and then vote to set it aside?
I would like a specific amount or percentage of the Affordable Housing Trust funds
The first line item in our sources and uses of funds.
set aside for any related costs associated with the operation or administration of the Affordable Housing Trust. So that those funds, we don't need to make requests through CPC to have approved.
No,
We can just do as we
Mhm.
need.
and is what is allowed under our
Correct.
charter,
Or whatever
what are our rules.
rules.
But what happens, Jim, is that if some project comes in and we wanna use part of that 142,000, we can say at that time it's limited, because we wanna save some aside for administrative costs.
Well, yeah,
As opposed to right now putting a dollar amount there, and I'm not willing to do that now. 25%, that's $37,000.
it could be 15%.
It could be none right now. We really need this discussion with Judy here.
I agree, so.
Right, so let's table
it.
that. The other item I'd like, another item I'd like us to consider for 2025 is to increase our community outreach, quote-unquote, marketing to folks like Mr. Boshin and the folks from 4 West, small local developers and
Yep.
citizens. So I'd like to work on developing a program to encourage that within town. So it's just another idea I've had.
Okay.
All right, so we've tabled this. So we need a motion to table discussion of set-aside funds for
No, I don't
administration.
think so.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep talking about planning and then as we work to develop our plan. Let's move forward to item 4.3.1, which is the pending grant for rental assistance. My primary reason for stepping back as chair is that I've been completely ineffective at working with the town administration to resolve this issue over a year. I cannot get responses, I don't get acknowledgement, I can't get meetings. I'm totally ineffective at resolving this issue. So I'm not gonna try anymore.
What are we discussing right now?
4.3.1.
4.3.1.
And then I hearken back to the reason I stepped back on article, or as the role of chair. After a year, it's obvious that I can't get this done. So I don't know what to do at this point. We are completely blocked. I got an opinion from town council that I cannot proceed
Without his approval.
without his approval.
Without the town administrator's approval.
Right.
We need to refer to a name.
Yeah, town, And all we're trying to do is enter into an agreement for Wingate to administer distribution of the funds.
Yes.
That's what the contract that's before him. He really can't, I don't think under our charter, he can block the grant. But we have no mechanism for distributing the grant without going to.
Without the agreement.
And without ultimately going to the town and Judy to write the check. I have no way to move this forward.
May I ask a question?
Surely.
Well, why is this contract, or why does the contract have to be signed by the town administrator? Why isn't it a contract that you can sign?
According to I went to town council, and his opinion is that the trust I don't have his words in front of me, agency of the town. I'm using the word agency in quotes, that's probably not the right word. And as such, the chief contract and funds administrator, who's the town administrator, must authorize those contracts. So, under advice of council, I have no choice but to seek his authorization. And I have been unable to do that.
His opinion.
Yeah,
No, he has to authorize the
No,
contract.
town council's opinion.
Opinion, yes,
Opinion.
yes. Well, that's what council gives, they give opinions. So at this point, I have exhausted everything I can think of. I don't know what else to do.
so these funds, if I could ask, these funds are your funds, correct? So
Well,
if they're not used by you, then they just sit there.
Correct.
I want to clarify that.
Go ahead.
Correct at the macro level, you may have missed some earlier discussion, we have two components to our funds. Funds that are directly controlled by the trust and funds that are grants from the CPC. So they're administered a little differently, but in effect, what you said is true. Now,
Who's
Yes.
the custodian of our funds?
Sorry?
the treasurer.
The
town-
treasurer.
The town treasurer is the
Of
custodian.
our funds.
Of
Who's
our
the
funds.
custodians of
The
CPC funds?
The treasurer,
Yeah, see, all of this still goes back to the town treasurer.
who will not release money unless the contract is signed by the town administrator. All contracts must be signed by the town administrator.
So I have,
Or if I might, or the authority of the board as granted by Mass General Law.
according to town council, we don't have such authority.
I'll reread the,
Again, I pursued it, I met with
I
them.
know, okay.
I have said I am completely blocked. I don't know what else to do.
So that's
So
the
Carl,
CPC
I
and
thought
housing
that
trust.
when you'd spoken
The
to
CPC
the town
and
administrator
housing
prior
trust.
to this, he had said he wanted to find out how the project was progressing before he signed the contract. We provided.
He
the
did,
certificate of occupancy.
he did say that. That doesn't change the fact. He said it in an informal hallway conversation. He will not meet with me formally on this topic.
And is it legal for him to block this?
I cannot opine on legality.
And,
I can't.
One of his concerns, one of his requests is that it only be given to Wareham residences. My comment back to him is the minute they move into that apartment, they're Wareham residences. Then he said, well, I said, keep in mind that these CPA funds are not just Wareham funds, they're state funds that have been given to us, so they're not strictly and completely Wareham contributions to our CPA dollars. I have to remind him that it includes state contribution, which is everybody. So I'm hoping that there might be some little give and take on the requirement that these funds only go to Wareham residences. But the minute they move
I-
in, they live in town.
Yeah, I think that what you said is completely true, that he cannot restrict these funds to current residents because that would be against state law.
And he will not,
State,
he will not say that in a forum, publicly or in writing. And what Ms. Slavin reported was an informal conversation, and
Yes, and it was, yes, and I reminded him that our funds are not just Massachusetts, Wareham only, so.
in either case, I can't get the contract signed. So I'm stepping
And-
down for that reason, so,
and what if we promised that we would make them available to Wareham residents without writing it down or anything?
No. 56 people are 56 people. 56 units are 56 units. Hmm?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Of people who qualify.
yes, they have to be qualified.
and we've got through all that's what's
Right.
in the agreement that we're trying to get processed.
We're extremely frustrated on this side, as you can tell.
Well, I hear you. I'm trying to find a way of appeasing. Again, he's obviously blocking this illegally.
Well,
We're not gonna acknowledge the word illegally. He has the right, as the town administrator, to execute his judgment.
Nicely put.
Without providing a reason?
I don't know that it says anywhere he has to justify his actions. In any case, two things, Roberto. I don't think the trust is giving up. And in my stepping back, I'm not giving up. I'm not resigning from the trust. When Judy gets here, we'll talk about my changing my role. Someone else needs to find a different approach to trying to move this forward. And perhaps Mr. Manise.
After the meeting, after we get through the business of the meeting, I'd be glad to entertain the changing of roles on the board. But I wanted you to follow through on the agenda as you said.
Okay, great. And we'll wait for Judith. We don't have to do this today.
So,
But I want people to understand, I'm not being effective. Someone else,
yeah, and we're not,
More
as you
effective.
stated, we're not giving up
no.
on the process of funding.
We
So
just,
please understand that we are making promises to people today, to some people today, that are in need, that this money is available. to
we
them.
understand the need. That's the whole reason we started down this path.
Yeah,
All right, any other action that you recommend? So we're keeping you updated on the status. And you'll see later on the agenda, I'll acknowledge some things that you guys have done since the last meeting on the SHI. So we're working together, we're moving this forward. I don't know what action to take at the moment,
If not, then what?
so. At this time, no one has any suggestions on any other immediate action.
Either way, we will move request for funding for the project through CPC. And if that doesn't get moved forward, then we'll put a request for funding in through the Affordable Housing Trust funds.
But that's not the agreement that he's blocking. He's not signing the agreement with Wingate Partners to administer the grant.
We're requesting funding, right?
Not with Mr. Sullivan yet, because the next thing would be then the grant agreement.
because there's nothing in this agreement with Wingate talks about funding source.
It's just an agreement for them to, that's where we're blocked at the
And
moment.
that's in between, and I think that's,
Because then the next step would
they're a
then,
qualified administrative arm that's been approved by the state, right, to administer the affordable housing component and the lottery for your corporation. Is that correct, Mr. Arista?
That's correct, yeah.
And that's an agreement you have with Wingate? Are they like a subcorp or a separate corp?
They're a separate company, they're
Okay.
a third party.
They're administering the units on Main Street.
851 Main Street.
So they do other in town.
Right. So let us proceed with the request for the fundings and also, again, address the signing of the contract, having the contract signed, which allows, I guess, Wingate to administer the costs.
Not the cost, the distribution of the grant.
Distribution of the funds.
And the record
In
keeping.
the record keeping and provide that to the town. And then we'll have to, see how that turns out. That's all I can,
Okay.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
And when do you meet again? If you do happen to progress a little bit, who will let me know how things are going?
Whoever
does
is
this come
the
back?
chair, whoever's the chair of the committee, which could be Mr. Schultz or myself or Sandy or Doug. But
We will keep you informed. Someone from the trust will keep you informed.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And we can,
And I did apologize for not copying you on the agenda. That was an oversight on my part because I was traveling last week.
Yeah, no worries.
There was nothing, there was no hidden message there. It was just, I don't even think I copied Steve. I just wanted to get it posted and I was on the road.
and we don't have to meet just monthly, we can meet as long as you give out 2 days' notice,
Yeah.
at any time.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Disappointed that there's been no progress, but thank you.
Not as disappointed as we are.
Yeah.
Or we're not the people that there is expecting the funds. They're disappointed.
We'll see what we can do, and thanks for your patience.
Okay, all right, let's move forward.
So the 56
Okay.
people have been
Thank you.
They may be starting.
Oh, if I could say, thanks for putting together the paperwork to update our SHI. I don't know how long you'll be around.
It's on the
Are
agenda.
you sticking around, or you,
Oh, if you need me, I'll stick around, otherwise I'm
Other than
I'm
this.
out.
Okay, we're gonna thank you, we're gonna acknowledge that we're moving the SAHI count ahead. I have a letter from Mr. Buckland, with a status update,
Okay,
so it's moving forward. The state has the information, so we're monitoring it and pushing that as well.
thank you, appreciate
No,
that.
thank you for getting,
That's happening.
Yeah, have a good morning,
okay, thank you.
bye-bye.
All right. So let's talk about the grant agreement for 6 Chapel Lane. This is in the same state. I submitted this to the town administrator for comment and ultimately signature. I have not heard back from him. I have been unable to get a meeting to discuss it.
is,
Let me finish.
No, no problem.
Now, his secretary rose up to defend him and say, well, you've got to add Mr. Bowen's comments, so he won't look at it till you do that. But that's not from him. So I did send Lynn Mr. Bowen's comments, which is that
Age
Mr.
restriction will be recorded and include a date as the deadline for the agreement.
Right, so we just need to add that,
conditions of the
yes.
of the deed restriction.
Yeah, under the deed restriction paragraphs, put that something in there, so. Carl, would you find a best place to put it?
Okay, and I'm gonna Sandy prepared the original draft.
Okay,
Wait, and I reformatted the Word document just so it was easier to read, but
Yeah.
you sent something out last night. Was there anything?
no, it was just, I finally got around to including the items that were requested from Steve's team. And you did earlier when you sent that document to,
Okay,
Derek.
I gave you one of those. See,
To
here,
Derek.
Yes. This is entered into the contract system, as is the Wingate agreement. They have contract numbers in the workflow. So if we make an update to this, we just need to reference that workflow, send it to Patty. My recommendation on moving this one forward,
Meeting Chaplain hours.
Yes,
this Chaplain, is that we find a place to add the two comments, which Lynn said was fine, I think. Just two paragraphs that say that, or two lines with dates.
it really does, say, final completion of the, and exhibits attached therefore shall include the execution and recording of deed restrictions. Duh, it says it, so I don't know what.
No, what he wants is a date, by such date.
And what the deed, what was voted upon for the deed restriction
What was voted upon?
in perpetuity.
Yeah, it says it in there.
And that's by the town meeting,
The town meeting didn't approve anything
no,
on
not
this.
for on our side, they didn't have to, but on CPC.
Well, we're not, it doesn't say we're using CPC funds.
No, I agree, just, that's.
That would be up to CBC to administer that before they release their funds.
with
Yeah,
what-
that's separate
agree.
monies that Steve's going after.
So we should put a date saying 30 days after grant agreement date, or 60 days after
Well,
grant.
and-
Put a time frame as opposed to a date,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, we can't have a date until it gets signed.
yeah.
They got my name spelled wrong.
Where is that, Steve?
Okay,
My last name,
Show me where,
113,
Yeah,
the notice, it's BEAUC.
no, no,
It's
I'm
an
trying to
IN.
look for where it is, that's all.
it's
Where
an
in the
IN,
document?
yeah. And,
On page 5,
at the end,
Oh,
my last name,
oh.
it's EMI.
I know how to spell it. That's a
So-
typo I didn't see.
Lynn provided us a clean copy where she cleaned up all of the,
And then I reformed it. This is now our document.
is that the one that was sent out by Sandy?
It's the one that has the stuff that Lynn added, starting from the document that Sandy had,
yes, it is what I sent out and what
Lynn added.
Lynn added. I added
Edited.
my master, and Carl added to his, and he sent that adjusted out to the contract list.
Yes,
They match,
yes. So
other
this,
than the spelling of Steve's
well,
last
that's,
name.
and so this is what I sent to Lynn.
Yeah,
This is what I sent to the town.
Yeah.
I started with Sandy's. I added everything from Lynn.
okay. So the only thing we have to add on this here is,
Something to cover Rich's comments.
and you can do that before you step down?
So you may wish to discuss with the recipient, he doesn't even say I have to add it. He just said discuss with the agreement, but the date by which the restriction will be recorded. So Lynn sent me,
You sent that to Lynn?
yes.
Okay.
And
that's
she
fine.
said she thought it would be done by the fall, but we need to,
So 60 days. Within 60 days of of the agreement signed, being
Okay.
signed.
okay, and then include that date, oh, it's just one change, not two things. He made it two clauses. It just include that date as a deadline in the agreement. So,
So you don't have to put a date, you just have to put a word in there.
Yes.
Within 60 days of the granting?
yeah, where do you think we need to put that?
Under the paragraph for,
Entirely, maybe amended only. Default, termination, return of funds,
there's number 6 deed restriction.
number 6, restriction.
And other than that, Derek is good with it?
I have no idea.
Okay. This just went to Mr. Bowen.
Oh, it went to Derek as well.
So,
Okay.
So,
I just don't wanna get caught up.
Well, no, what I think the next step is, we should find a place to put that language.
Yeah,
Okay, you ready? The final completion of the purpose of this agreement and exhibits attached hereto should include an execution recording of any deed restriction within 60 days of grant agreement, within 60 days.
Well, tell me where you're at.
We're on page 3,
Okay, I'm on,
second paragraph down, final completion.
okay, I'm catching up. Go ahead.
Therefore, execution and recording of any deed restriction within 60 days of this, of approving, whatever, signing this agreement. And that does it. We put a time frame as to when the deed restriction should be done, imposed pursuant to this agreement.
Great, I'll add that clause
With
there.
submission to the registration restriction book
Great.
and page and record. So we put it in that paragraph, the 60-day time frame.
So, we've met Mr. Bowen's
Yes.
request, we've discussed it with the
Yeah.
applicant, we've reached agreement on a time frame, and we're gonna update the document. So my recommendation is that I edit this document.
send it to everybody.
Okay, I make the
No, I'm not
motion.
done, wait, let
Okay.
me finish before you make your motion. That I edit the document, fix your spelling of your name, add this clause.
And redistribute.
No, and more than that, distribute, I'm not gonna send it to Derek, I'm gonna send it to you, Lynn, you. And we execute from our side. We sign it and date it. Then I send a signed with your signature, our signature to Derek. And then they can't say, now you gotta do such and such a thing.
What we're sending is complete on our side, we're asking them for a signature.
And it's complete on our side, and now we're just asking Derek to put the final signature on it.
Yep, if
Okay,
you could put a note to Lynn stating that, you know what I mean, would it be appropriate to do this? That'll clear us, you follow me? So
Yes.
we're not, her and I aren't stepping on town toes.
Well,
I don't care.
I don't-
This is so annoying, this is so annoying. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Sullivan, this is annoying.
so.
Okay,
And then this grant agreement is made, should I put a date, what date should I put in there? The first page I left blanks for the date, we need to fill that date in.
why not be the date that Steve signs it? No, we need a date on it for him to sign it.
Well, we don't have to type the date in, we could hand write the date in. As long as we sign the same document.
And, then you're gonna have to initial next to that.
I always initial anything that's got changes in it, which is,
Or ask Lynn what the date should be. If she feels as if we can put a date in there, you know what I mean?
We can process it, we can easily just say August 1st.
or September
Or
1st.
September first, you know what I mean? You know, see,
Oh,
we're
that's
in,
right, we're already in August.
we're-
We're in the middle of August.
We're
We're in
yes.
September, yeah.
you know
Well,
what
it
I
can't
mean?
be a
If
Sunday.
that works with her, I'm good with
All right,
everyone.
so we get it signed, and regardless, Jim, whether we change roles or not, I'll just drive this document to
So-
close.
Okay.
And then either you'll sign it or I'll sign it.
So
And then
under,
we,
okay, I understand all that.
and then we get it to Patty to enter into the contract system. And I have the number, which is on the
Did Mr.
agenda.
Bowen ask for something that Patty mentioned? Is that where we're putting on the
That,
page?
just
there?
exactly that. We've taken care of his, we think we've taken care of his request.
Okay,
We discussed it with you, and we added the date.
okay, crazy.
So under deed restrictions, after MGL, chapter 184-33, 31 through 33, it should be and voted and approved, and as voted and approved by the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust.
Where, you're adding another change.
Number 6, well, yeah, that's the one I started with. So it's a fourth line under deed restrictions, after MGL,
No, go down to next page, page 3 at the top.
No, he's adding a new clause,
yeah, within that paragraph.
not something Rich asked for. He
Oh, we
wants
don't need a
another
comma.
clause.
Okay, so what?
And
Sorry,
voted and approved.
Wait, I'm not keeping up
I've
with
lost
you,
it
Jim.
again.
fourth line after on page 2, under deed restrictions, you see MGL, chapter 184, 30, limiting the use, you want to add something in there.
And as approved, voted and approved by the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust.
Where do you want me to add that?
You can just put it "and" right after get rid of the comma and say "and."
After the 33, get rid of that comment?
Yeah, I mean, unless you think that's grammatically incorrect.
No, I'm just trying to get to the right place. And as voted,
And approved by the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust.
So you're mimicking what the state wrote.
Well, no, the state, we don't know what the state has set for parameters and guidelines related to the length of deed restriction. We stated in perpetuity.
Right.
So and I just wanted to make sure that was in there. I mean, I have no trouble with any of it.
well, it doesn't say in perpetuity in the language here, does it?
No,
But that's what we voted on.
Yes, but
and
we
that's
should
what's under our-
actually,
did we use that word when we voted?
Oh, we did. And I think I sent that, well, I may have sent those, all three of the votes by us, CPC, and the town, the language that was voted on. How long ago did we originally vote to approve this?
last August, I believe.
No, I mean, it's pre-you, Carl. I think.
No,
I have all the dates, I just don't have
Yeah.
it.
So anyhow,
I think when
And that-
CPC did it, it talked about restriction on the land, because the building would not last for,
it runs with the
Correct.
land.
yes, it runs to the land.
Yeah, deed restrictions belong to the land.
Yep. All right. So we've got two additions to this. The insertion of as voted and approved by the Wareham Land Trust and the 60-day time frame for the deed restriction
And fixing the spelling of Steve's name.
and spelling name. You ready for the motion?
Yes.
Jim? You ready for the motion?
Sure.
I make a motion that we approve Carl Schultz to modify the Wareham Affordable Housing Grant Agreement with 6 Chapel Lane LLC to insert the words under 6 deed restrictions and as voted and approved by the Wareham Land Trust,
Affordable Housing Trust.
Wareham Affordable Housing Trust. And to insert the requirement of a 60-day time frame for deed restriction to be completed. And to correct the spelling of Steve Boschman's name. That would be the motion.
Looking for a second. Jim?
Hold on 1 second here.
And I am gonna add the word in perpetuity.
Then I'm going, once that's done, I have another motion. Is it right? You're right. Okay.
All right, so I'm waiting for a second. We have a motion on the
Hold on 1
table.
second here.
No, I'm just letting you know we have a motion on the
Okay.
table.
Blah. You know, all right, I'm gonna second and then we'll have discussion. All right, I'll second and then we'll have
We have,
discussion.
okay, we have a second, motion and a second, discussion.
All right, so I just get a little confused again after the first paragraph under deed restrictions. You have a second paragraph which starts out like a separate section. It says affordable housing restriction approved by the Office of Housing and Local Community. And who else?
Well, this is just saying, if you read on, it continues on to the next page, which
Yeah.
is, I think, well, maybe or maybe not part of that.
No, it just,
Did I lose something, Sandy, in your document?
No,
under page 2, last
No,
paragraph.
no, that should be, if you look at the previous sentence, in a form acceptable to the Watt, I think that's the form, that's the annotation, right? Is that what that is, Sandy? That's how I read that.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
You want me to indent that?
no. I'm fine with with inserting the, and vote and approved by the
No,
affordable.
no,
Hou-
he's
Yes,
talk-
I know, and I'm,
He doesn't understand this clause.
it just, that, like anything else, if part of it is having the SHI recognize it as an affordable housing restriction, that's what that's for. That's for DHCD.
Then if that's what you're looking for, then you should say,
That's the form. So all I'm saying is if I indent that, that's what you mean by the form, right? Or a heading or something.
No. All I think it's saying is that DHCD must also accept it as affordable housing, where it won't make SHI. I think that's what that's for.
Okay, so do we need a lead-in sentence?
I don't think so.
And Lynn would have knocked that, I think she thought it was.
Yeah, if,
I don't even know if you need that paragraph / sentence.
I don't think it hurts anything to have it there. I think it's our indication that we recognize that we need it in order to have it on SHI, we need to have, the
All right,
CHDC to accept it, or whatever the new letters are.
LOH.
Housing of livable communities, what an,
Executive Office of
Yeah.
Housing.
I can't even pronounce that acronym.
Okay, all right. So we have a motion, a second discussion. We okay with me just moving forward with,
Yeah, as amended.
as amended? Okay. All right.
Yes,
So, in favor,
yes,
Jim?
Yes, Jim Manish, yes.
And the chair votes aye.
okay,
So-
my second motion. I make a motion that we authorize the chair of Affordable Housing Trust to sign this grant agreement with 6 Chapel Lane once these changes have been made.
Can I modify that? Countersign, we'll get Lynn to sign it first.
Well, we want you to sign it. Do you want to sign it before he signs it, or after he signs
Well,
it?
that's why I said countersign, but just
I
sign.
don't know what a countersign might mean. I just,
That
I
means you
want,
sign it second. But that's okay. I withdraw my amendment.
so the motion is to authorize the chair of Affordable Housing Sign to countersign the agreement with 6 Chapel Lane once these, once updated, or whatever you want the word to be. I want to give somebody the authority to sign
Fine.
without having to meet again.
Great. Jim?
Approval to execute?
Yes, that's what her motion is.
Yeah, I'll second that.
So, motion, second, any discussion? Looking for a vote.
Aye,
Jim Manish, aye.
And the chair votes aye.
okay. 3-0-0. All
Right.
right.
So, right now, I'll continue to run with this
Okay,
You'll send it out to Lynn and I.
Yeah.
now, part of this agreement, it says in it, the funding would be coming from the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Yep.
And when I wrote that, I wasn't making the distinction you're
Now,
making.
when we approved this some time ago, we said that the $50,000 would come out of our trust fund dollars.
Yeah,
My recommendation is we take it out of the 150,000 from the grant we got in fall of '23. Change the fund, I wanna change the funding source for this project.
Question. I understand your motion. My question is, does that matter for the agreement?
No,
So how do I word the agreement so that we could continue to make that discussion without stopping the agreement?
the agreement stays as it is.
So are we okay? Wareham
Where are you at?
Affordable Housing Trust Funds includes our funds, any grants that we may have.
You have one, what you look at it that way.
That's how, but that's why I wanna make sure
what
that
section you on?
Award, number
Section.
one.
page 1, item 1,
Okay,
because we mentioned where the money's coming from.
Now, what is under discussion is the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust Fund, all in capital. Is that limited to the 140,000, or does that include any CPA funds available?
that's what I would say. Well, you'd need to have revolt where it's coming from, right?
But I don't wanna
Hold on,
have to
hold on,
vote for
hold on,
that
hold
for
on.
the agreement.
Hold on. So you pigeonhole yourself in a sense, that's what you're saying. You're saying, we said it's coming out of here. We should say, from funds available to the Wareham Affordable
Yes.
Housing Trust.
And that gives us the flexibility
this.
to pull it from wherever we need to pull it from. Do you understand, Carl, what he's saying?
No, I'm gonna change award to say, the amount of $50,000 for the above referred project from funds available to,
Correct. That make sense?
and I'll delete the word fund at the end.
All right. Then, if you turn to page 2, the continuing of that sentence that's carried over,
Get rid of the word fund,
yeah, shall be returned to the,
Wareham Affordable Housing Trust.
yes.
And then we decide if it came from
Yeah.
CPC, whatever, we have to administer
Yeah.
it on the back end. That's not part of the grant
Okay.
agreement or their
So,
concern.
here's another motion. I make a motion that we modify the grant agreement with 6 Chapel Lane to change under award to indicate that to insert the word from the funds available to the Wareham Affordable Housing Trust and to remove the word fund.
On this page, and then on the second
Second page is remove the word fund.
I have a motion. Jim,
Sure, I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
He's writing, I'll wait.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I'm waiting for your vote,
Oh, Jim and Ace, aye.
and the chair votes aye.
All right, thank you. By doing that, I believe we can
Yes,
move from using our funds to part of that $150,000 we got for CPA funds, because in the article it says to provide for the creation and preservation of affordable housing in Wareham, which
that's
is
what
well
this is.
within the scope of this project.
All right.
So, you,
I suggest, I agree with your thing. I suggest, because we didn't really talk about voting on that.
no, if we vote on it, we'd have to reaffirm it at next meeting. So if you
So-
could put this on the agenda
Agenda.
for the next meeting to define the source of funding for 6 Chapel Lane as a discussion and vote. Still got the money. Different article.
Right, sure.
Which allows us still to keep the 142,000 in our own account. And
I
this is
agree
well within the
100%.
scope of the 150,000 grant request.
As long as CPC goes along
Oh,
with it,
yeah.
we're good.
Keep in mind that CPC also voted for funds for this project too, so, Yeah.
As long as you go along with it, I'm good with it. Otherwise, it just comes back and we have to, I'm just stating the obvious, I guess, I'm sorry. So, you got a motion on that, Kyle, right?
We have a motion.
Seconded?
All in favor?
just to put it on the agenda.
Right.
Yes.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
All right.
All right.
So, now, are we done with the agreement part?
We're done, yes.
Okay, we're still on 6 Chapel Lane now, right?
We can be, yes.
How's the funding coming, private funding via the bank in?
I'm all set. I'm just waiting to close a couple of,
So it's not finalized yet?
I'm not finalized yet, but
Okay.
I got a commitment letter. You guys got a copy of it already from Cape Cod 5.
Right.
So we're good on our side. Yeah.
And,
Probably September, October is when,
okay, what about the funding through Wareham area? Watch, Wareham area, that's not, there is a Wareham, Committee for the Homeless.
yep,
How is that processing,
that's all
proceeding
gonna be
through the
closed
state?
together. Yeah,
That's through the state, that's,
Yeah, Linda put some paperwork together for Chuck, and that's gonna be part of 5 closings, the time that we close.
so once everything is done and everything's been approved, you'll have funding from all 3 available.
We'll have 2 funded from here, 1 from the state, 1 from the bank. Follow me?
So
So we
you-
got trust, we got CPC, we got
Correct.
state, we got Cape Cod 5.
And like everybody's waiting for everyone else to,
We're just putting
To commit,
all the
so
paperwork
that-
together, it's gonna be 5 closings
so
the same
funds
day,
can be,
dispersed
released.
that day.
right. All right, I just, you know,
It's my understanding. I mean,
it's down the road a little
Bryce,
bit.
it's been a patient, I've learned to gain patience, trust me.
Oh,
It's been a while.
it's a
That's
learning
okay,
process.
Cause I knew we were gonna, the first year was, okay, as long as we purchased it and we started.
You're doing
on it,
all right.
We're good, we're moving along.
You're doing
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're ready to go, I mean, the lot's cleared,
I see that,
Fence is
looks
up.
good.
mowed, we mow it every other week, it's,
Just the
I don't wanna
funding.
send Brian down there and move the stakes around to set where the houses are, but I got a damn good idea where we're at. I brought the sewer back 135 feet, a year ago, that was a pile of money we put out, we're ready to go.
It's just the
Our
funding.
eyes are on another project now, but I'm just waiting for this to close before we entertain
I'm with you.
another, like I said, I'm learning to gain patience, trust me, folks.
No. No, I'm good with it. I like the project and,
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice little project,
Yeah.
honestly.
it is. I think it's appropriate for the neighborhood. And you're not trying to put 5 pounds in a 3-pound bag.
No,
So-
I wouldn't do that.
No,
Honestly, even if it was in the West Wing, I wouldn't do that to anyone.
thank
I
you.
would treat others the way I would like to be treated. That's
Yeah.
the rules, right? Well, my father used to beat me if I didn't, trust me. That's how I
I'm
was
good.
taught.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good,
sir.
thank you. Anything else on this project? All right, moving on. I did not write the letter of recommendation for 4 West Street. I have to do that. I just didn't get to it.
That's all right.
All right, so it's still open. I will continue to do that regardless of. And then, we've already sort of talked about it. We requested Dakota Partners send some information in to get the SSI updated. They took care of that. Ken communicated with the state, and we got an answer back that they received the information and are processing it. I forwarded his email to everyone.
Yep.
To the best of my knowledge, that is moving forward. Any discussion?
No, that's good, and that's why I wanted to thank Mr. Arista before he left, and for doing that part of it and putting all the information together so that we could have it entered and get the count moving. Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to revisit the tabled item, or do we want to just push that till next month when Judy gets here? I can continue,
She's on her way within 20 minutes.
or do you want to just wait until next month? I'm not compelled to step back yet, but we need to keep finding a way to move forward on Woodland.
Here's a question. If we're willing to sign the agreement for 6 Chapel Lane prior to Mr. Sullivan, why can't we do the same thing for Woodland Cove?
That, they have a signed agreement. That, what is in there is a
Did
signed,
we sign it?
I don't know that we had to. Whatever is, there's a signed agreement in the flow. They signed it, that was the first hurdle. Well, they've got to sign it first.
Yeah, they signed it.
Is there a place for us to sign?
Yes.
There is?
Wareham Affordable Trust by title.
Okay.
I don't see a place here for Derek to sign.
Well, whatever, he needs to sign it, so. He hasn't even raised that as a question.
Oh, okay,
There is on ours, okay.
there is ours,
Yeah.
and yours.
I mean,
So we'll sign it, right? Carl, you'll sign that, and that would be forwarded to CPC?
no, this
Part
is
of the
still,
documentation?
this is just the, CPC's not involved in this. This is just the agreement with Wingate Partners to administer the grant. Then we have to do this whole thing with the grant agreement.
Yeah, you asked whether or not we needed a grant agreement.
Well, I did, so
Do we?
I don't know. We have to somehow get the money then to Wingate Partners to
Well,
administer
let's
it.
see, okay. This is so confusing. Okay,
Yeah,
Again, if Derek won't
So-
meet with me and say there's no signature block for me, until Sandy looked at that, I didn't realize there wasn't a signature block for him.
and
He
you
could
were,
sign on that signature line there with his, that was what I assumed he would do. He would sign there with his title and,
And we mimic this for the CPC one that we gave,
but
right?
that's what I.
that's where the source came from. It's
Yes,
this,
I copied it.
trying not to reinvent the wheel.
so do we have an signed agreement
With Wingate Partners for them
to
to
administer
administer
the grant?
the grant. I hadn't been pushing
Okay,
issuing the grant until I had somebody to manage it.
right, we knew someone was gonna manage it,
Somebody had to.
and it's an approved administrative,
Their credentials
approved by
have
the
not been,
state.
have not been
Right,
questioned by anyone.
what the grant is for, to and for the occupants of Woodland Cove,
Yes,
who meet the criteria for affordable
Yes.
housing.
yes.
So when we request CPC to fund that,
Or we fund it from our own.
well, just, we're requesting them to fund it. We've already voted on that.
Yes, that's what the original.
So you need to provide some information as to our vote, any grant agreement, an agreement between us and Wingate, who would be administering it, so they can make an informed decision that all the necessary paperwork has been completed before they, well, I would think before they would release funds.
Right. But
So-
we didn't get to that step yet. I mean, when we started this last October, I thought that would be, we haven't taken that step that you just described. And I can't reference a signed agreement to say we have an administrator.
Well, that's up to CPC to request the town administrator.
Administrator Wingate Partner, not the tenant.
Sandy's there being frustrated.
Yeah, I'm being very, very frustrated.
I
I'm
did not
confused.
pursue the request of funds. One, because they didn't have a CO until a month ago. So there wasn't anybody to give the funds to. And two, because I didn't have an agreement with somebody to administer the grant. I'm still waiting to get somebody in place to administer the grant.
For whom?
We're talking about Woodland Cove, Phase One.
Which is Wingate,
Wingate is the administrative group, yes.
correct. So Sandy, if I might, Carl,
Please.
Sandy,
Yes. I'm so confused right now, I can't respond to, I can't
I
can't
understand.
respond. You've gone so many backs and forths, I can't respond. What's your concern, Jim?
we approved to request CPC to,
Give us an agreement that we can use these funds. You're talking
Well,
about
you
that we
appro-
did
you-
earlier today.
right.
No,
We're requesting for them to approve
No,
the funding.
no, to give us, not to approve the funding that we, into an agreement that we can use the funds. That's what we approved earlier this morning, only to agreement that we can use the funds as we require, as we need. CPC, it's just the agreement to take care of that words that was in that 2010 article. It was just an
that-
agreement.
And then, yes, and then, we didn't ask them to send us any money yet.
No, it's an agreement with CPC that we can use, that these funds can be used for our project.
Right.
That's all we want is an agreement.
All right, I thought we were asking for, an agreement to fund, because CPC is the actual funding agency.
Agreement that we can use the funds.
Okay, that's,
To
all
fund a
right,
rental
Just-
assistance program.
Yes, use the funds.
okay.
And
I'm good.
Not distribute the funds.
No, just use, that takes care of what was said in 2010.
Well,
Then,
Okay,
when we ask for the money, CPC is gonna ask for the documentation to release the funds. And that's when you start coming up with the grant, the agreement and things like that as to the administration of releasing the funds.
I was bundling it all together, but.
You can't bundle, my head won't bundle
No, that's
anymore.
all right. However, the simpler, however it's gonna work, I'm
Yeah.
good with it. Thank
So-
you.
Okay, and you can explain this to them.
Yes.
We're not asking the funds yet.
No, no,
We're
no.
trying to clear that checkbox.
Off of that article, that asking for an agreement with the town, that, yes, agreement,
And they be representing the town,
yes,
because they awarded the funds.
funds, yes.
Good by me. I'm good.
I hope I can remember that by, for tomorrow night.
Good
I'll
job.
put all, I gotta write the thing.
Yes, yep.
This is just, because. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Oh,
It makes it so much harder.
there's,
It's like a filling without
But I
Novocaine.
don't understand why, you know what I
we
mean?
don't either, we've not got a clear
But can I-
definition.
Look, can I just throw something in the air?
No,
So, a while back-
You're being recorded, so be careful.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what you're gonna say, so.
Like stick.
No, I'm good. But I thought that anything from the trust side that appropriated money, the trust was able to
Disperse it, I mean,
disperse it.
Yes.
I believed that under our charter and under the act that Jim refers
And then
to.
if it went to
Town
the
council
CPC,
said-
it had to go through the town, right?
Town council said you're
That's what I
wrong.
thought I
but
would
keep
just-
in mind, there's the contract. The last time we issued money, there was no contract. So we could issue the money with just our own approval.
What do you mean a contract, Stan?
This is a
This-
contract to
We're
administer
having
it.
the contract that we're trying to get Garrett to sign regarding the disbursement of the
Okay.
funds at Woodland Cove. We did not have a contract when we did the Latham.
Right.
So we could dispense funds ourselves
Yeah.
without approval of the TA. And all we had to do was document to the treasurer, to the accountant, that this was a valid project when we submitted our request, and she cut a check.
Right, okay.
I mean, it's because of this contract that we've got a level that we never had to deal with before.
I was just thinking out loud, my memory's going backwards.
Yeah.
Well, we thought.
We thought-
that-
We
what
thought
was
we had
discussed.
clear responsibility for the funds in our own account.
Right,
It's the contract with Wingate that's the holdup.
So I technically, you don't think I even had to send the grant agreement to Derek, although his signature line was on the bottom,
What grant agreement?
Steve's grant agreement.
That's different. That's something, we didn't have a grant agreement like that with Latham.
Okay,
CPC has grant agreements. And all we did was copy CPC's.
all right,
Change a few
we're
words.
just gonna, we're trying to do whatever the
Yeah.
town asks us to do.
oh, sure. No, I'm just trying to comprehend everything that's going on.
Yeah, well,
It's been
welcome,
going on for a
welcome,
while.
welcome to the club. I'm
You wanna continue down to your 4.5,
Which was what?
just at the SHI?
I thought we talked about that already,
Oh.
that was Ken's.
Yeah, that it's been submitted and it's under discussion.
Yeah.
And SHI has, sorry, whoever that new,
Person, Margot.
Acronym is-
Oh,
has-
EAOA, yeah.
I,
Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities.
yeah, LC,
Livable
Livable Communities, they've accepted it and they're reviewing it, so that's where that stands.
What's that?
They've accepted the document and reviewing it.
Over
Right.
what?
Okay, that's just the status, that's all.
Oh.
The SHI list,
Okay. Okay, yeah.
you should have had that email.
I forwarded the email
Oh,
from
yeah,
Ken.
SHI, yeah.
Yeah.
I have that already down.
Right, before we close, I have one update. That the House voted yesterday
No.
to approve a housing bill.
That's a week and a half ago. The
Ken,
bond,
Ken said it was yesterday.
was it like for $200 billion or something?
No, I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. Or maybe, yeah, yes.
You
And
mean,
this is one part of it.
I think you're
Yeah, which
talking
is
the tax
ex-
taking.
Auxiliary housing, or
Accessory unit,
accessory unit, yes.
as of right.
As of right, yes, which means, one, we have to change the zoning bylaws.
Right.
So just making sure you all were aware of that.
Did you, what was, Sandy, you made a comment there?
No, I thought, never mind, I was on another topic.
So if you looked at the bill, it's huge numbers, but then it's broken down, and a lot of it goes to, a quasi-state agency to administer for certain, certain areas of housing. Some of it went to education. So it's a lot of money, but it's got all different areas where it's gonna be distributed. And
Put accessory units on existing houses,
Yes.
properties in town.
As of right.
State passed, as of right, no permit needed, no
No-
ZBA.
Well, building permit, but no,
Right, but no ZBA, no plan. Oh, what size parcels? Didn't matter,
I didn't read the bill, but I think it doesn't matter.
right?
Because it's not gonna happen next to the governor's house, but,
Right.
it'll happen next to yours.
What's that gonna, what would happen with the SHI
I don't
count?
wanna land on these, no good.
Does that house count as one unit or two now? If it's an accessory?
But that passed,
Accessory doesn't have to be affordable, does it?
no?
Nope.
No, what I'm saying,
No, because Article 26 that Brenda tried to put through.
It's
that
still
was
on the books.
affordable, remember?
Yes.
Right, and it's there, it's not workable, but it's there, it's not been
Right.
repaired.
So this is something along those lines, without even being affordable to it,
correct.
passed. Okay.
Do you wanna wait for Judy, or do you wanna,
I gotta get home and write this
A
this
motion
letter.
to adjourn.
yeah,
All right, guys, good to see everybody again.
Get a second?
yes, you made
Motion to adjourn at 10:41.
motion approved, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thanks, Noah.
/ Slavin.